Hello there, students. For our last week of continuous learning, we're going to be talking about gun control. It was the topic that in the survey I gave you weeks ago, you said you were most interested in. So, if you need to come to get some help on Tuesday, follow this Zoom session link. What you need to be talking about our day one is our contemporary policy debate. This article discusses a poll which was conducted in 2019, and it talks about a number of different gun control policies. So you're going to tell me what those policies are, why people support them, why people oppose them. So we're talking about gun control, which we could say means gun restrictions, which will make it harder for people to get a hold of guns. And tell me your opinion about it. For our gun control case study, we're going to study something called House Resolution 9006, Taxation of Manufacturers, Importers, and Dealers in Small Firearms and Machine Guns. We're trying to find out what the goal of gun control policy should be. All right, let's see what this bill from the 1930s said. For the purposes of this act, the term firearm means a pistol, revolver, shotgun having a barrel less than 16 inches in length, or any other firearm capable of being concealed on a person, a muffler or silencer thereof, or a machine gun. A machine gun is any weapon which shoots automatically more than one shot, without manual reloading by a single trigger pull. Section 2. Every importer, manufacturer, and dealer in firearms shall register with the IRS and pay a special tax. It shall be unlawful for any person required to register under the provisions of this section to not pay the tax. Yes. Section 3. There shall be a tax of $5,000 a year on importers or manufacturers of firearms, $200 a year tax on dealers, a $200 fee for each machine gun sold, and $1 tax on any other firearm. Section 7. Each manufacturer and importer of a firearm shall identify it with a number or other identification mark. This might seem similar to you. You all know that guns have serial numbers. This will be the first time that they put something on it. What would be the purpose of these serial numbers, these identification marks? It would help police track who used the weapon, where the weapon's from, who bought it, etc. Section 8. Importers, manufacturers, and dealers shall keep records of all firearm transactions. Why do we need to know who's buying the firearms? Section 13. Any person who violates or fails to comply with any of the requirements of this act shall upon conviction be fined not more than $2,000 or be in prison for not more than 5 years or both, in the discretion of the court. What's important about this one is that it's not actually making it illegal for people to own certain types of weapons. What it does is it adds a tax on them. This tax serves a couple purposes. One, it increases the cost of the firearm, but it also creates more of a paper trail, and it requires people to have some sort of legal association with the weapons. Furthermore, at this time, you'll learn that a lot of criminals and organized crime were using these weapons. Is it likely that those criminals were paying the taxes or had the paperwork? Very unlikely, right? So this is going to create a crime that those people could be arrested for. Our historic context, something important here, when a lot of people think about firearms in America, they think about something called the Second Amendment. In 1789, James Madison, a member of the First Congress, proposes a series of amendments to the new Constitution based on the requests of the states. The fourth suggested amendment says, "The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-armed and well-regulated militia being the best security of a free country, but no person religiously scrupulous of bearing arms shall be compelled to render military service in person." This is the proposed version, but after some debates, what ends up being passed and ratified by the states, which you know as the Second Amendment, says a well-regulated militia being the best necessary to the security of a free state and the rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now you know that infringed means taken away. If we infringe somebody's rights, we restrict them, take them away. So according to the Second Amendment, some people believe the way that it's worded just absolutely protects people's right to bear arms. We get to some debate over what this well-regulated militia clause means, but we're not going to worry about that specific here. So we need to know for our historic context that in 1789, during the founding of our country, the government protected people's right to own a firearm. In 1920, U.S. Army officer John Thompson patented something called the Thompson submachine gun. You may have heard of the Tommy gun. It's also known as the Chicago typewriter because it made news. The Tommy gun was created for trench warfare, but it was quickly adopted by those who were in the organized crime that followed Prohibition, which was what made alcohol illegal. People didn't want to stop drinking alcohol, but it was something that they couldn't get legally. Who were the ones who controlled the illegal trade, which was worth a lot of money? So, organized crime, someone like Al Capone, you may have heard of. One of the most famous gangland incidents was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929. In Section 1, we need to find out why people support gun control. We're going to read a testimony given by Attorney General Homer S. Cummings. Homer S. Cummings, as the Attorney General, is the chief law enforcement officer in the United States. He said, "Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, this bill is designed to enable the Department of Justice to deal with what I think is generally recognized as a very serious national emergency. The development of late years of the predatory criminal has created a situation which is giving concern to all who are interested in law and order. I am prepared to say there are at least 500,000 of these people who are warring against society with weapons of the most deadly character." The things that he's said so far, if he's referring to this as a national emergency, and he refers to the weapons as deadly, could you understand why he is in favor of regulating them? Now, to deal with that situation, of course, requires thought and study. The amount of public interest in this effort to suppress crime is astounding. Now, we have established in our department an organization to concentrate on a program that is constitutional, that is reasonable. At the same time, we have endeavored to provide the means for meeting this very real problem. I do not know exactly how this bill will work out. Nobody can tell. We must feel our way through these big problems. A sawed-off shotgun is one of the most dangerous and deadly weapons. A machine gun, of course, ought never to be in the hands of any private individual. There is not the slightest excuse for it, not the least in the world, and we must, if we are going to be successful in this effort to suppress crime in America, take these machine guns out of the hands of the criminal class. Does he seem to give you some good reasons why we should restrict people's right to own these weapons? How does he describe the weapons? What is he saying they lead to in America? How are these arguments similar to those that you hear today?